we've had such a fantastic response to our Borbia Kids Zoom cook along. So thank you to each and every one of you. I'm going to show you a lovely recipe and it's a baked chicken, rice and bacon with lots of lovely vegetables in it. So each child that is lucky enough to win gets a lovely apron. So this is it here, this lovely apron here, gets a little certificate signed by myself, and then this recipe booklet. So what we do, we rotate 3 different menus, and this is the one that we're going to be showing you the recipe here. So it's the baked chicken and bacon rice. So it's really, really simple. It's a real kind of, shall I say, a treat for the family, but it's everyday kind of cooking, and that's what we want to emphasize with the Borbia Zoom cook-alongs. Good Irish ingredients, cooking from scratch. That's what, for me, is what good food is all about. So it's great to get your kids involved in the kitchen, because the love of food does start at home. That's where I got my love of food. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just literally do a bit of chopping now. We're going to seal off our chicken in some rapeseed oil. So this is some lovely Irish rapeseed oil that we're using here. I'm going to talk to you about the chicken. I want to get the pan nice and hot. So this is the chicken here that we're using here, and you're looking for this mark, the Borbia quality mark. So we're supporting Irish farmers and producers, and that's so important, and that's what I'm very passionate about. So this is some corn-fed chicken, so it's fed on maize, so it has a very distinctive kind of like yellow color but delicious flavor, and it's produced in County Cavan, which is wonderful. So it's a local product for me. So when you're cooking any kind of meat, whether it's a pork chop or lamb or beef or whatever like that, or any kind of meat, bring it to room temperature. So that means just take it out of the fridge about maybe 15-20 minutes before you do this. So just while I'm waiting for the pan to heat, because I want it nice and hot, I can show you a little bit of chopping. We're going to put some lovely carrot in this. We already have some onion chopped and some celery. So we're going to put, I'm going to show you the technique of just dicing some celery. And I think celery is sometimes a very underused vegetable, so it is. It's absolutely delicious. So cut it into long little strips, as if you're doing it kind of like for a stir fry, and then kind of curve your fingers. Watch your fingers when you're doing this. And that small little dice, it's a very fancy name, it's called a brunoise. So it's a little dice of vegetable there. Now, I'm going to come back to the carrot in a minute. I'm going to turn down my skillet pan. So you could seal the chicken in this, but I want to show you a little tip that what I do is literally put the chicken into the pan, separate pan, and it just speeds up the whole recipe, so it does. So put a little cube of butter. You'll hear the butter melting. Hard to beat a bit of butter, but if you use the oil in the butter, it gives beautiful flavor. So I'm going to put the skin side down, 3 of these lovely chicken fillets, and I'm going to keep it on a nice high heat. Now, we're going to seal them off, but the most important thing is we're going to cook them in with the rice. A little bit of salt and some black pepper, which is here. Gorgeous. Now, back onto our vegetables. So this is going to be the base for our chicken and rice bake. We're going to cut our carrots nice and small. I'm just using 1 carrot for this recipe because I'm actually doing half the recipe that's actually in that booklet. Gather it all up again, and then we're going to cut this into small little cubes. Watch the fingers when you're doing this. Never take your eyes off it. Okay. So we have that, and I might as well just show you what we've done with the onion. So that's a small onion, finely diced. There, you can put garlic into this, you can jazz it up. We're going to bring all our lovely kind of vegetables, and we're going to put this into our pan. But I'm going to show you a little tip just with some lovely fresh thyme. I absolutely love fresh thyme. So we're going to use fresh thyme and fresh parsley in this. You could put lots of different spices into this. Some Cajun, some harissa, which give a lovely bit of a kick. You could put some chili into it. So you can mix it up a little bit. Now just pick off those lovely little leaves. I have to say, thyme and chicken, it works so well together. Okay, so let's just bring over our vegetables. The pan is nice and hot. Another little piece of butter, and then just literally whip them in there. So that's your lovely celery, your carrot, and your onion in there. And just let this just cook for a moment. Yeah. So we're not really looking to colour it, we're looking to kind of like sweat it off, which means you're combining all those lovely flavours. Into this, we're going to put in some of these beautiful lardons of bacon. So again, you have the Board Bia quality mark, okay? So this is from an Irish company, and it's hand cured, so it is. So O'Neill's, they're based down in Wexford, great producers. So I just have some of them, and we're going to put this into the pan. And to me, bacon gives so much flavour to this recipe, it really does. Now give it a nice little stir there. So the oil and the butter, you can just use oil, you don't have to use butter, but I think Irish butter is the best in the world. Okay, let's turn over our chicken. Nice little bit of colour. Just seal it in. I will flip it back over again. So you just started the cooking process. So this is what you call, you know, just a breast of chicken with skin on. A supreme is when you have the bone on it, which will work well too, but the skin on will give beautiful flavour. Now, so stir this here. And you can see the lovely colour. You have the bacon there, you have that lovely carrot, you have a little bit of celery. So this is a great way of getting your kids to eat vegetables. Now we will put in tomatoes, and then we put in some rice and stock, and it's as easy as that. It really is, for me, a one pot dish, even though you're using the pan to seal off the chicken. You could have done the chicken in the skillet pan, take it off, and then put in your vegetables. So we're using these beautiful San Marzano tomatoes. We're going to put the full can in here. So we're going to stir them through. Lovely. Now you can put in tomato puree if you want to. I'm just literally going to put in a little bit of stock into this. We're going to put in our rice. So long grain rice is perfect for this, or if you want to, you can use basmati, whichever you feel like, whatever you have in the cupboard. And coat all this. Now let's just flip over our chicken, because I don't want them to cook in the pan. They're going to cook in that lovely pot. So you can see like it's still raw in the centre, and that's perfect. So I'll just flip it over, get a little bit more colour. Gorgeous. And then we're going to pop it in after I add the stock. So I'm going to use some chicken stock in this recipe, everyone. So stir that. So that's what it looks like there, Mela. So you can see, you think it looks quite wet, but don't worry about that, because it's going to dry out. So I'll probably use half of the stock. I have a little bit too much stock. So just like a stock cube you can use, or you can use as a lovely Irish company called Carol Stock, and she makes some beautiful fresh stock using some lovely free range chicken. You can use that. So about half of that should be enough. And then just give it a stir. So you just want to combine everything together. So that's your rice goes in there. And you can look up this recipe on the Board Bia website, and there'll be lots of lovely recipes using the very, very best of Irish ingredients. And of course, when you're looking for your chicken or any meat, look for the Board Bia quality mark. So there's a nice bit of colour there. I'm going to lift that, still raw. I'm going to nestle that just in to the dish here. And there's lots of flavour in this, because you have the flavour from the chicken. You also have the lovely butter. That's gone a bit quiet. So this comes to the boil, and then what we do is literally pop it into the oven for about 20 minutes. So I already have one done. So it's kind of like a bake. So make sure first of all that this, that whatever kind of pot or pan you're using is oven proof. This one is a skillet pan, so it can go up to 200 degrees in the oven. I'm going to take my one that I've in there out. So we have this already baked just before I done the demo, and the rice will absorb all this beautiful stock. So I'll just take the lid off that in a moment. We'll do the reveal in a moment. So just pop this in here, and it'll take 20 minutes, 25 max, no longer than that. It won't take longer than that, so just be careful when we lift this off here. So we're going to chop a little bit of parsley. You can see this here. You can see the way the rice is kind of puffed up. Don't chop the carrots too big, because what happens is that the carrots will be still undercooked by the time the rice and the chicken is cooked. So we're just going to finish with a little bit of chopped parsley, and that's it. It couldn't be an easier recipe, and I think this is a lovely recipe that all the family will enjoy. Sometimes I put in a little bit of baby spinach into this. Also, you can put in some peas. But again, the whole secret into this is using the really beautiful chicken and vegetables. So just a little sprinkle of parsley over that. Now, there we go. So the whole idea behind these Zoom cook-alongs with Bord Bia is to get kids cooking, because it's a great life skill to enjoy cooking with your parents or whoever you cook with, whether it's your grandmother, grandfather, whatever like that. I got the love of food from my mother, and I know this recipe, all the family will enjoy this. Now just be careful because the handles are hot. You can see it there, the rice is beautifully cooked, the carrots, you can see it there, the lovely tomatoes, and them are beautiful chicken. So just spoon that up, let everyone kind of help themselves. If you want to, you can slice the chicken, and I think you have a great family favorite there. So that's my baked chicken, rice and bacon recipe. So you can look up the recipe on the Bord Bia website, and that's it there. So learn to cook. Sure, we're all learning to cook, aren't we? But I think that's a lovely recipe, and I know it's definitely a favorite in our house. So happy cooking, and thank you to all the young chefs and families out there that are really cooking up some beautiful recipes, and my thanks to Bord Bia for coming up with this fantastic idea of the cook along. So happy cooking, keep up the great work. Thanks a million.